Today I'm making my own cereal blend. Why would you do such a thing, you may ask? Well, cereals, I feel like you either have to make a choice. You can buy the cereals that might taste delicious but are not the best for you, or you can buy some really great healthy cereals that are on the market nowadays, but they tend to be really, really expensive. So I wanted to find a middle ground where I could try to make my own cereal, customize it so I can make it healthier than some of the normal options, but at the same time, by making it myself, I'm hoping to save some money as well. Come along with me as I do so today. Welcome to MrsCrunchy, where we discuss natural living in a modern world. When I was thinking about making my own cereal blend, I wanted to choose something that would be kind of fun, something that I wouldn't be able to find normally at the store. So because it's the winter season, tropical fruits are in season. So I was like, well, maybe making a tropical themed kind of cereal would be fun. So for my base today, I am going to use some sprouted grain cereal. Now, this cereal, and actually quite a few of the ingredients I'm using, they are not the cheapest ingredients. Just use the best quality ingredients you can afford. If they're not organic, it's still going to be better for you than processed. And the other thing is that when we're talking about cost, I have had some cereals that are really bad for you, full of sugar, highly processed, and I can have like 3 bowls of that and still not feel full, or maybe feel full for like an hour and then I'm hungry again, and it's just like caused my blood sugar to spike and then that was it. So if I eat a really hearty cereal though, it's actually filling because it's actually full of nutrients and fiber and a bunch of other good things. So you kind of have to look at it like that too, is that you are not going to need as much in order to feel satiated. So first, let's start with the base. Now, as I mentioned, this is a sprouted grain cereal, so I'm just going to go ahead and put that in my bowl. The next thing that I'm going to add are some nuts, and you can use anything that you want. You can use seeds if you want, although if you use seeds that are too small, you might have a problem with them all sinking to the bottom of the jar when you go to store or get a bag or whatever. And so today I just happen to have pecans, so that's what I'm going to use. You can use almonds, macadamia nuts, whatever you want. And really, if you want to go the extra mile, sprouting them ahead of time and soaking them would be better because they're similar to grains in that they contain a bunch of enzymes, which is wonderful, but they also contain enzyme inhibitors. So meaning that if you were to sprout your grains and your nuts, you'd find that they would be more digestible. Today, like I said, I'm just using these as they are, but I do think that it would be better if I soaked and sprouted them first. You're gonna notice I'm just eyeballing everything today. I'm not using measurements, I'm just sort of going with what looks and feels right. That's how I cook a lot of times. I'll try to give you guys some estimates so that way if you wanna recreate this or make your own version, you kind of know what I'm working with. All right, so we'll start with that. I'm gonna give them a chop and see where we're at. Another thing about soaking too is that of course it makes things softer. So my son actually really likes cereal and he's been teething lately, and I feel really bad for him because the hard foods like the nuts and some of the grains are just too tough for him. I wouldn't want to eat that either if I had teeth coming in. So something that I can do if I think about it ahead of time is I can soak them in milk. And I'll do that. I'll just set aside a little bowl for him. So then that way, after things soften up, then he can eat them and he's more willing to do so. I'm chopping this a little finer than I might normally because, again, my son. Okay, that looks pretty good. So I'm gonna go ahead and add this to my cereal base. Now this might kind of weird some of you out, but I use my hands a lot. Personally, I think these are the 2 greatest tools that you have, and I am not like a huge germaphobe, so I don't mind just sort of digging right in there. And you could add spices to this, so if you wanted to add some like cinnamon, a little nutmeg, cardamom could be really fun too. You could definitely do that. You could add some vanilla. So looking at this, and I think I'm gonna add a little bit more. All right, let's see where we're at now. If you're trying to follow along, I've probably added 2.5 cups of nuts. Okay, so for us, that looks really good. on to the next ingredient. I'm going to add, because as I mentioned, this is tropical-esque, some coconut. And you can use shredded coconut. You can get the sweetened kind if that's what you want. This is unsweetened, and this is this beautiful flaked coconut. It is just, it's really fun, and it's just sort of the texture and the size that we wanted. So again, I'm doing some very unofficial measuring here. I'm just gonna kind of add it in until it looks right. You know, and that's the really great thing about making your own cereals, is it can be completely custom. If you don't like nuts or you're allergic, leave them out. If you don't like coconut, then you don't have to add it. Coconut contains a lot of good minerals. As you know, those of you that have had coconut water, it's an amazing electrolyte. And it's also really great because it contains MCT oils, which stand for medium chain triglycerides. And this is a special type of fat that's really good for you. And I just think it looks so pretty too. You know, I'm thinking here as I'm playing with my food, if you have older kids, they would love this job. This is looking good, and again, if you're following along, I've probably added about 2 cups of flaked coconut. I'm realizing my mistake here, which is that I should have used a bigger bowl. So I'm gonna get a bigger bowl. Okay, so we've added the nuts, we've added the coconut, and now I'm just going to move on to my fruit. So I'm going to add, let's see, we've got papaya here, which I thought was a fun ingredient. This is something I got at my local health food store, and they offer some options. So they did have a completely no sugar option. This one has some sugar on it. We eat sugar sometimes. I don't think using a lot of it is good. Probably none of it would be ideal, but I don't know. I don't really live in a world of absolutes for our house. The color is so pretty, and I think it's just gonna add a really nice flavor to this. So I'm just gonna go ahead and give this a chop as well and add it to my cereal. Now, papaya specifically has some special enzymes, which they say aid digestion, and also they have some anti-inflammatory properties as well. The color of this reminds me of a sunset. And you know, those of you that have your own ideas for cereal blends, if you want to share, leave it in the comments below, because I think it's really fun and that's where a lot of people get ideas. I was going to add some more, but I'm not going to go too crazy here because one, it is a little bit on the sweeter side, and I don't want to make my cereal too sweet. I don't want to take an unhealthy, I don't want to take a healthy thing and make it unhealthy. And I'm also going to add another dried fruit, which I'm going to show you here in a minute. So I'm just going to add this and see where we're at. I'm going to do something rare and exercise some restraint here. I am looking at this and I would love to add more because it's so beautiful, but I have some more dried fruit to add, and you can always add more. I've added about 1.5 cups of diced papaya. On to the next fruit, which is dried pineapple. These are dried pineapple rings. So again, from the same store, they have a low sugar option. They also had a no sugar. I've been tasting it, and even the low sugar option is a little sweet. So I think next time I'll probably go for the no sugar option. So I'm just gonna go ahead and give this a dice. So it's kind of funny. I enjoy cereal, but I'm not a huge cereal eater. My husband enjoys it a lot more, and my son does like it, so it's mostly for them. However, we have been getting this beautiful milk from a local farm, and I know milk is really good for me, and so I'm trying to drink more of it. However, I've never been the type of person that just sits down and wants a glass of milk. That's really rare. So this is basically just a vessel for me to have more milk. Now I have about 1.5 cups of pineapple, equal to the 1.5 cups of papaya that I added. I'm going to mix it up and see how it looks. I thought of one more thing I'd like to add, which is a little bit of salt, and not just any salt, the pink salt. The salt still has the minerals, and it hasn't been taken out to create that perfectly pristine white table salt that we're used to seeing. So it still has a lot of great things in here for you. And because we usually need more of this, I am going to add maybe 1/2 teaspoon or so. It's not going to make it salty. If anything, it's just going to enhance the flavors and add a little bit more nutrients to this. I'll give this a final stir. Never hurts to do a little bit of a taste. It's good. So I'm actually going to use the same jar that I had my pecans in because I don't have another one of this size, and I'm going to need something larger for this, and I am going to just go ahead and fill it up. I think I got like half of this on the counter. Now I have my cereal, just put on the top, and it's ready to go. And this is a really easy, filling, and nutritious breakfast for you in the morning. And I have a little bit extra that won't fit in, so I'm just gonna have to try some now. Now sometimes if I'm using ingredients that don't have any sugar in them, then I might drizzle a little raw honey or maple syrup on it. But because this dried fruit does have that little bit of sugar on it, I'm gonna try it without it because it might not need it. Add the milk. Really like the coconut in here, and you could even toast it if you wanted that flavor as well. Thank you all for watching and for joining me today as I make my own cereal blend, and I will see you all again soon.